Hello, and welcome to the final episode in our series from Exodus. Do you know where your parents lived before they got to know each other? Most of them lived with their own parents, didn't they? But when they got to know each other, fell in love, had a wedding, and became one family, they started to live together in one new place. Why did they do that? Why didn't they stay living where they were after they got married? It's because their new relationship says that they now are a family and they want to spend time together, make decisions together, look after you, their children, together, and do a lot of other things together. In our story from Exodus, we talked about how Yahweh saved his people, the Israelites, from slavery and brought them to his mountain so that they could be with him, so that they could know him and have a special relationship with him. When the Israelites first came to Mount Sinai, it was a bit similar to the moment your parents got engaged. That was where Yahweh made a covenant with the Israelites. He said he would be their God and they would be his people. And then they all agreed what life in that relationship would look like. That is similar to the moment when your parents had their wedding. They also made a covenant, and now they're in a special relationship that includes just the two of them and no one else. And this is where a number of problems started for the Israelites. Your parents moved into a flat or a house after their wedding, but Yahweh lived on a mountain that the Israelites couldn't go on. Listen to what the rules about the mountain were. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 19, verse 12. Put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, be careful that you do not approach the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain is to be put to death. Only Moses was allowed to go on the mountain and meet with Yahweh. The second problem the Israelites faced was that Yahweh promised the Israelites a land that he would lead them to. But Mount Sinai wasn't in this promised land. Mount Sinai was in the desert. How was this special relationship going to work if Yahweh had to stay on his mountain and the Israelites had to keep going to the promised land? You don't have to worry about it. Yahweh obviously had a solution to this problem. Yahweh was not going to leave his people, but he was going to go with them. And he still wanted to go with them, even after they forgot about him and built their own god that looked like a golden calf. Yahweh has forgiven them their sins, but has made it even clearer that Yahweh and his people need to live closer to each other. Maybe then the Israelites wouldn't keep forgetting what Yahweh is like and what he did for them. Because the Israelites were on their way to the promised land, they didn't live in houses. Instead, they lived in tents. Therefore, Yahweh told them to build a tent for him too. A tent that was going to be a holy place in the same way Mount Sinai was a holy place. This would mean that Yahweh could come and live in this tent and go with the Israelites on their way to the promised land. This tent was called the Tabernacle, a tent that was a holy place. Obviously, building a tent that is going to be a holy place is not simple at all. So Yahweh gave very specific instructions to the Israelites about how to build this tent, this tabernacle, so that he could come and live in it. The book of Exodus lists these instructions in great detail, but there are three main instructions for the tabernacle. Instruction 1. The tabernacle should be beautiful and made out of the most exquisite materials. Even from looking at Yahweh's tent, you had to see it was a very special place. This is why the Israelites used only the most beautiful materials to build it. All of the equipment was built from all sorts of jewels, and the whole tent was built by the most skilled craftsmen in the whole of Israel. Listen to what Exodus says about that. I'm going to read from chapter 38, verses 22 to 25. Bezalel, son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made everything Yahweh commanded Moses. With him was Aholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, and an embroiderer in blue, purple, and scarlet yarn and fine linen. The total amount of the gold of the wave offering used for all the work on the sanctuary was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The silver obtained from those of the community who were counted in the census was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. Instruction number 2. The tabernacle should have a place where the tablets with Yahweh's rules were kept, and this was the place Yahweh's presence would live. It was a very big deal to invite Yahweh to live in the middle of the Israelite camp. It was very dangerous for people who were sinful and made all sorts of mistakes to have Yahweh, a holy God who can easily destroy his enemies, so close by. And we know that the Israelites were really sinful people. Therefore, the tabernacle had to have a room in it that was called the Holy of Holies. No person could ever go in there apart from the high priest, and only once a year. They put the tablets of stones that had Yahweh's rules on them into a container called the Ark of the Covenant. Let's read about it. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 25. This is verse 10. Have them make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. And verses 16 to 18. Then put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law, which I will give you. Make an atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long, and 1.5 cubits wide. And make 2 cherubim out of hammered gold at the ends of the cover. And verses 21 to 22. Place the cover on top of the ark, and put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law that I will give you. There, above the cover, between the 2 cherubim that are over the ark of the covenant law, I will meet with you and give you all my commandments for the Israelites. The ark was very important for the Israelites. It was a sign of Yahweh's presence, his covenant, and his promises. When the ark was with them, it kept reminding them what Yahweh was like, what he did for them, and what he promised to do in the future. Instruction number 3. The equipment of the tabernacle should help the Israelites be clean from their sins so that they can come closer to Yahweh. The last important instruction for the tabernacle was that Yahweh told the Israelites to put all sorts of furniture and equipment into the tabernacle. This furniture and equipment was for the Israelites to bring sacrifices to Yahweh for their sins, so that they could live near Yahweh without being afraid. And here we are, at the very end of the story written down for us in the book of Exodus. I'm going to read from Exodus chapter 39, verse 32. So all the work on the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, was completed. The Israelites did everything just as Yahweh commanded Moses. The Israelites finished everything exactly the way Yahweh told them to do it. And then Yahweh told Moses to put the whole tabernacle together. Listen to what happened when he did that. This is chapter 40, verses 33 to 38. Then Moses set up the courtyard around the tabernacle and altar, and put up the curtain at the entrance to the courtyard. And so Moses finished the work. Then the cloud covered the tent of the meeting, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting, because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of Yahweh filled the tabernacle. In all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted from above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of Yahweh was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. This is a very big thing. These are the last words of the whole book of Exodus. Yahweh came to live at the tabernacle that the Israelites prepared for him. Yahweh came to live with his people. He doesn't live on the mountain anymore. He lives in their camp. Now they live in the same place, and they will be together the whole time as they keep going to the promised land. Today, Yahweh still wants to live with his people. But you probably don't have a tent built in your living room so that Yahweh lives there, and you wouldn't find one at church either. The tabernacle was Yahweh's place to live, but it also made sure Yahweh was still separated from his people. He was in the Holy of Holies. It provided a way for people to get clean from their sins. We don't have to do this anymore. Because of Jesus' death on the cross, we don't have to be afraid of God's presence anymore. Not only that, God doesn't even have to live next to us and with us anymore. He now lives in us through his Spirit. When we turn away from our sin and trust in Jesus' sacrifice for us, we become part of God's special people. Through the Holy Spirit, God comes to live in our hearts. Because we're not in the new creation, our promised land yet, we can't live with God in person and see him face to face. But God living in our hearts helps us and helps lead us on our way to our new creation home. Let's thank God that he gave us and the Israelites a way for him to live close to us and walk with us on our way. This is the end of the whole story of Exodus. I hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye.